Hello. Uh, Today we are discussing about the topic of status of Indian women in different scenario, and we are actually dealing with the different perspective of uh, uh, statuses of different statuses of Indian women in India. The status of women in India has been subject to many great changes for the past few millennia. That means equal status with men in ancient time through the low points of the medieval period that we already discussed in the previous classes, and to the promotion of equal rights by many reformers. We know about the history of reform movements, different reform movements in India. The history of women in India has been eventful actually. Modern India, women actually women had adorned high offices in India, including that of the president, the prime minister, the speaker of the Lok Sabha, the leader of the opposition, and there are the different uh, positions holding now. Holding the positions, different positions. We have the former president, former prime minister, and speaker, leader of the opposition. And however, in the political scenario, the women in India generally are still exposed to a number of social issues. That means India is the fourth most dangerous country in the world for women. That is fourth most dangerous country. That is very, very, very alarming. And in the time of ancient India, the position of women, it was vital actually. They used to take important decisions, and they were also allowed to choose their own husbands. That means Swayamvara system of marriage. Through Swayamvara system of marriage, we have that women have the equal rights to choose their own husband. Women in the ancient society in India, that was respected. Actually their position was respected, and give more importance in that particular society. That means women philosophers, intellectuals. That is in the Vedic period. Women education in ancient India was prevalent. That means in earlier period, women are superior to men. Women in ancient India were given more significance than men, and they held a predominant position in Indian society during that time. That access to education that already mentioned in the previous classes. Access to education, that is educational access is very easy for the women in the ancient times. Actually, the massive women education in ancient India, several women seers and thinkers originated in the ancient time. That is Gargi, Maitri, and women have enjoyed the tremendous right to education and teaching. And Gargi was a prominent participant in the ancient society beside men such as Uttalaka Army. That means Vedic period, our education system was very developed, and main subject taught was the Veda, and that Veda Veda or the six Vedangas were taught, including the performance of sacrifice, correct pronunciation, knowledge, etymology, grammar, and Jyotisha, a science of the calendar. Jyotisha or the science of the calendar. That is, women education in ancient India produced women with significant authority, and that we also already seen in the ancient Indian text. That describes the influence of the women in the society. In Mahabharata also, the persuasion of Draupadi on the husbands to overthrow the Kauravas. Valmiki Ramayana also depict the influence of Sita. That was explained in the previous classes already. And in the medieval period, the women's conditions, position uh, deteriorated. That means different uh, activities such as sati among the different communities. there is always prevalent child marriages, widow remarriages banning, and these are also becoming the part of the social life in the medieval period. Uh, there is always a Muslim conquest in the Indian subcontinent. We are discussing about the position of women in India during the Indian women. That is, Indian subcontinent conquered by the Muslim rulers, that produced the Parda system in the Indian society, which is a very relevant social issue in the current and also the previous years. Among the Rajasthan people, the Rajputs, uh, the Juwahar was practiced. That is also a practice of like Parda. In some part of India, the Devadasi system, or temple women were sexually exploited, and polygamy was widely practiced, especially among the Hindu Kshatriya rulers. That is, in many Muslim families, women were restricted to the prayer areas, the Sanana areas. These are the most influencing factors in the medieval period for the women. And in spite of these conditions, some women excel in the field of politics, literature, education, and religion. That is, Razia Sultana became the only woman monarch to have ever ruled Delhi. In that, Muslim rulers. Among that, Muslim rulers. And the Bhakti movement. That means that the Bhakti movement tried to restore women's status, but some form of oppression has had, that means that is questioned by the Bhakti movement leaders. The Mirabai, that is a female saint poet, was one of the most important Bhakti movement figures. And Bhakti sects within the Hinduism, such as Mahanubhav, Varkari, and many others, were principal movement within the Hindu fold to openly advocate social justice and equality between men and women. After the Bhakti movement, Guru Nanak, the first Guru of Sikh, also preached the message of equality between the men and women. These are the conditions of women in the medieval period. And women in pre-independent India. What is the condition? Let's look at this point. Women in the pre-independence India. That is former student of Hindu college. That is one of the name, Peri Charan Sarkar, Calcutta, a member of Young Bengal, set up the first free school for girls in India in 1847. That is in Barasat, a suburb of Calcutta, and was named Kali Krishna Girls High School. And there was no positive British contribution during the Raj area, but that is not entirely so. Since missionaries and wives like Martha Moult and her daughter Elisa Caldwell and some other members of the members remembered for pioneering the education and training for the girls in South India. That is Raja Ram Mohan Roy, another person. We all know about the Raja Ram Mohan Roy, and his efforts led to the abolition of sati. That is very important, very poor social evil in that period. That is due to his intervention, the Governor General William Benedict in 1829, they abolished the practice of sati. It was due to the effort of the Raja Ram Mohan Roy and his followers. And another person, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, that is he gave importance to widow remarriage, and due to his effort, in 1856 British rulers enacted the law, Widow Remarriage Act. And another person, Rani Lakshmi Bai, that is Queen of Jhansi Rani. Jhansi Rani nammal parayarundi. Queen of Jhansi Rani, and she led the Indian rebellion of 1857 against the British. That is the first Indian national movement. and she is now widely considered as the nationalist hero. In 1970, the first women's delegation met the Secretary of State to demand women's political rights. That is supported by Indian National Congress, and All India Women's Education Conference was held in Pune in 1927. In 1929, the child marriage, that is a abolition of child marriage. To abolish the uh, Child Marriage Restraint Act was passed by the British government. That is uh, stipulating the 14 as the minimum age for marriage for a girl. That is the efforts of due to the effort of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Mahatma Gandhi. That is Mahatma Gandhi himself married at the age of 13, but he later urged people to boycott the child marriages. That is uh, women played an important part in India's independence struggle. Another thing, that is famous freedom fighters include Pikachi Kama, Dr. Ani Besant, that is another Vijayalakshmi Pandit, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, and Sachta Kripalani, Kasturba Gandhi, and there are a lot of leaders. Actually, women played an important role in the India's independence struggle. Another person, Sarojini Naidu, was the first Indian woman to become the president of Indian National Congress. That is a political renaissance. Actually, Sarojini Naidu was the first Indian woman to become the president of Indian National Congress. And after the independence, what was the conditions after the independence? Women in India now participate in all the activities, actually education, sports, politics, media, artistic forms, cultural activities, and service sectors, science, technology, and almost all the fields women have contributing. Actually, Indira Gandhi, that was our Prime Minister of India. Uh, actually, she hold the position about the 15 years. That is, she was the world's longest serving woman as a prime minister. And after the independence, we have the constitution, of course. In 1950, there is a constitution enacted. In that constitution, there is some provisions for the women. Article 14 regarding the equality, and to all the Indian persons, including women, have the equal freedom. And Article 15.1, no discrimination by the state according to caste, grade, sex. And Article 16 regarding the equality of opportunity. And Article 39, that is equal pay for equal work. That is Article 39T in the directive principles of state policy. All other articles are constituted in the fundamental rights, and it allows the special provisions to be made by the state in favor of the women and children. And Article 15, 3, the subsection 3 renounces the practices derogatory to the dignity of women. Article 51A, that is, and also allows the provision to be made by the state for securing just and human condition of work and for maternity relief in Article 42. And these are the different articles. And what are the current issues of women in India? We split into different categories of the issues. There is educational and economic development. In that scenario, there is gender inequality. Gender inequality in the form of inequality which is instinct from other forms of economic and social inequalities. And gender inequality has diverse impact on development goals. That is, it hampers overall well-being because blocking women from participation in social, political, and economic activities can adversely affect the whole society. And many developing countries, including India, have displayed gender inequality in education, employment, and health. And it is very common to find girls and women suffering from high mortality rate and vast differences in education level. And there is a gender bias in health concerns in India. And Government of India National Health Mission aims at correcting the rural inequalities in the matter of health, and it seeks to integrate uh, health with sanitation, hygiene, safe drinking water, nutrition. Like most of the schemes and programs initiated by the Government of India, even NHM, that is formerly called NRHM, has failed to achieve the goals of the implementation level, with the primary health centers and sub-centers crumbling. Women from infant stage to their old age, women get an unfair deal in the matter of health. Their health concerns receives a low priority, and it results the women bearing pain and discomfort in silence for long period of time and without seeking relief. And we will look into the sex ratio in India. We actually demonstrate the inequalities in the sex ratio, that is unjust and neglectful. And even in well-to-do families, parents tend to spend more on the health care of the boys actually. In infant mortality rate in 2018, that is some of the important state: 28 Maharashtra, and 30 Delhi, West Bengal 31, Karnataka 38 for 100 inborn child, Gujarat 44, Jammu and Kashmir 43, and 34 Punjab. And states with low mortality, infant mortality rate in 2018, actually Goa the 10 out of 100, Kerala 13, Manipur 14, Puducherry 22, and Daman Diu, that is 23. These are the dying young, that is infant mortality rate. Health concern, when we consider the health of the women, there is some kind of infant mortality rate is very high in India, overall India. And we consider into the reproductive health status of women. Actually, 136,000 women die in India every year due to pregnancy related setbacks. It is very alarming. And there is always some kind of measures taken by the government that is not effective actually. And there is high fatalities occur among the women every year due to poor reproductive health practices. And one of the reasons why women succumb to reproduction related complications in the absence of timely transportation to the nearest hospital. There is lack of transport and communication facilities, and experts estimate 70% of the maternal related deaths are preventable. And we should provide the good sanitation and nutrition, and it will avoid the overwork and stress, will improve the conditions of the Indian women. And the need to shift focus from the medical to the social, beginning with healthy antenatal care. Our cultural, social, economic practices, and there is some kind of barriers delay or prevent the women from seeking reproductive health care at any state. That is postnatal, antenatal, delivery care is very poor when we compare to the all India level. And India still ranks first among the 12 countries that account 2 by 3 of the under 5 and maternal death in the world. Actually, India ranked first. One of the major problems in the shortage of trained healthcare person. That is a very, very important thing. ASHA workers. We all know ASHA workers. That means 74,000. It will reduce to 70,000 now. 70,000 ASHA workers are short actually for providing the health services for the rural poor people. The health of a woman is closely linked to her education and socio-economic status. Maternal mortality rate showing the decline in India. Thousands of women continuing to die every year due to lack of access to basic healthcare facilities. According to UNICEF report, the main medical causes of maternal death are hemorrhage 30%, anemia 19%, sepsis 16%, abortion 8%, taxemia 8%. That is obstructed labors 10%. These are the different causes of maternal death according to UNICEF report. And we have the problems of working women. We all know about the problems of working women. Social attitudes to the role of women lacks. That is attitude which considered women fit for certain jobs are not others, and some form of prejudice is there to recruit the women employees, and women find employment easily as nurses, doctors, teachers, secretaries, or any other assembly line. Even when well qualified women are available, preference is given to a male candidate of equal qualifications. A gender bias creates on and obstacles at the recruitment stage itself. And when it comes to remuneration, that is also the law. Even if law proclaims equality, it is not always practiced. Actually, the inbuilt conviction that women are incapable of handling arduous job and are less efficient than men influences the payment of unequal salaries and wages for the same job. And women could still bear with these problems if she has a control over the money she earns. But in most of the families, her salary is handed over to the father, husband, or in-laws. That is males. It is handed over to male. Working women are often subject to sexual harassment. That is another problem. Even while going to work in the overcrowded public transport system, at the workplace, working women experiences sexual harassment from different colleagues and her higher officers. When a woman is praised for her work or promoted on merit, her advancement is often attributed to sexual favors. And most of the problems that beset working women are rooted in the social perspective. The men are breadwinners, the women are seen as the housekeepers. That is a gender bias, and they are the child bearers actually, according to their opinion. And this typecast, that is a role model, continues to put obstacles for the working women. A fundamental change is required in the attitude of the employers, policy makers, family members, and public at large. We should intervene that kind of intervention we needed. In the education field, the female literacy rate in India is lower than the male literacy compared to boys. Far fewer girls are enrolled in the schools, and many of them drop out. Already sent the notes of the this session in the group. Under the non-formal education program, about 40% of the country's centers in the state and 10% of the centers in the union territories are exclusively reserved for the females. In urban India, girls are at par with the boys in terms of education. According to the report of US Department of Commerce, the chief barrier to female education in India are inadequate school facilities. That is, we have no sanitary facilities, shortage of female teachers, and gender bias in curriculum. A majority of the female characters being depicted as weak and helpless in the curriculum. And the Ministry of Education clubs. Girls with scheduled caste and tribes are the three most backward groups in education. We all know the educational, economic, political, and social backwardness of the women makes them the largest group, hindering the process of social change. It is inevitable that when this backward group has a major responsibility of bringing up future generation, the advancement of society cannot be rapid or take any significant form of development. The differences between the positions of women and men in the society will not lessen as long as there are the differences between the education levels of men and women. Low literacy among the women brings down the national literacy. Actually, women constitute there is the gender disparity in gender gap in all the sectors actually. The gap which exists between the literacy rate actually that means right from the primary school to the university level, we find that number of girl students is considerably lower than boys in that all India level. And in the Article 45 of our Indian Constitution, there is free and compulsory education for the all the person until the age of 14. And looking at the present condition of primary education in villages, that is enrollment, regarding the enrollment of girls, that we uh, already shared the notes in your WhatsApp group, and 100 percentage of enrollment of girls is not possible till now actually. And regarding the land and property right, Indian families, women do not own any property in their own names, do not get a share of parental property due to weak enforcement of the laws protecting them. Women continue to have the little access to land and property. Actually, 1956 there is a Hindu personal law. That law gave the women right to inheritance. However, the sons had the independent share in the ancestral property, while the daughter's shares were based on the share received by their father. A father could effectively disinherit a daughter by renouncing his share of the ancestral property. That is, in Hindu laws in 2005, now a woman have been provided the same status as that of men, but today, even today, the condition is still that much, not that much. And in 1986, the Supreme Court of India ruled that Shah Banu, an old divorced Muslim woman, was eligible for maintenance money, and that is the Union government subsequently passed the Muslim Women's Protection Act. And we all know about the violence against women in the current situation. What are the causes of violence against women in India? There is education, lack of education, the socio-economic status of women, the alcohol abuse. Sometimes children who witness one parent abusing the other tend to abuse later in life. Actually, we are socializing that way. And trafficking is very rampant among the women from lower economic backgrounds. Actually, around 100 million people, mostly women and girls, are involved in the trafficking in one way or another. That is the same article states that is in the Indian Home Secretary Madhukar Gupta. He told around the 100 million people, mostly women and girls, are involved in the trafficking. The same article states that 44.5% of the girls are married off before the age of 18. That is child marriage. They are the victims of the child marriage. And what really constitutes violence against women? Any form of physical, sexual, emotional harm that is caused to a woman, whether at a home, that is or in an open, and threat, and depriving her of her. There is some kind of acid attack, dowry death, female foeticide, and infanticide, rape, and emotional torture, child marriage, forced marriage. These are the different forms of violence against women in India, especially in Kerala also. What are the effects of violence against women? The physical effects, that is injury, loss of speech. We all know about that. There is a mental and emotional health problems. There is some kind of withdrawal symptom, unsocial behavior, multiple sexual partners, that is insomnia, depression, and several other mental problems. That is very relevant, that is very prevalent in among the women. How can we end violence against women? With the social workers, actually, and we have to stop this violence. Education of the girl child is the first steps towards the better society, and there are some kind of campaigns, street plays, and other forms of communication, development communication methods. We use the development communication methods to get the awareness and change their attitude about the gender inequality. That is we can end this violence against the women. And another thing, the female feticide, that is studies show a sharp drop in the sex ratio after the introduction of ultrasound machines. Especially total number of missing girls since 1980 range between 10 million to 44 million. In 2011 census, uh, that is 914. In just 30 years, there are now 48 fewer girls per 100 boys. That is a female feticide rate of India. We all know child sex ratio. 1981 it was 1962, 1991 to 1945, 2001 1927, in 2011 census 1914. Remarkably slow process of female feticide. We all know about the things. And girls and women trafficking, that is trafficking among the women and children is most abominable violation of human rights. That is women and children are trafficked or exploited and forced to lead a life of dignity. We all know some film regarding the trafficking of women in Kerala also. It was a film of Chobana, and there is some kind of social stigma, debt, bondage, and a host of elements including HIV, sexually transmitted diseases. That is സെക്സ് വർക്ക് അതിലേക്ക് ആളുകൾ വരാനുള്ള പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട കാരണം അത് ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ലാക്ക് ഓഫ് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷണൽ ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റീസ്, എംപ്ലോയ്മെൻറ്റ് ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റീസ് ആൻഡ് പോവർട്ടി ലെവൽ. ദീസ് ആർ ദ സം കോസസ് ഓഫ് ദ trafficking, sexual trafficking. And sexual harassment, especially half of the total number of crimes against women reported related to harassment at the workplace. If teasing, that means it is used for some words for used for the sexual harassment, and many activists blame the rising incidence of sexual harassment against women on the influence of Western culture. In 2012, the Indian Parliament passed the legislation protecting women from sexual harassment at work. The legislation, which must be still be passed by the upper house of the it was passed by the both of the houses of the Parliament. That is a law regarding the protection of women from the sexual harassment at workplace. Dowry is another case. That's a symbol of human injustice. We all know about the different cases has reported in the Kerala in current scenario. A dowry, traditionally an upper caste Hindu practice of the bride's family. That also dowry prohibition rules. Actually, 1985. That is a sign of the some of the 1956 there is also 1961 Dowry Prohibition Act. In 1985 it was some kind of activism regarding the dowry prohibition, but it was still practicing by the it is still practicing by the people of India, especially in Kerala. In 2011, actually 8,391 dowry death related cases was reported in the year 2011. That is a conviction rate is 34%. It was still increasing. Actually, it is very much increasing day by day. That is another thing is child marriage. Child marriage has been traditionally prevalent in India and continues to this day. Actually, we all know the North Indians have practiced, some of the North Indian groups are practice the child marriage. 40% of the world's child marriages happen in India according to the UN agencies. In 8 states of the country, more than half of the young girls are married before the age of 18. Especially there are some kind of factors regarding this. That is factors leading to this child marriage practice: traditional gender norms, the value of virginity, the parental concerns surrounding premarital sex, pressure of marriage transactions and poverty. These are the some kind of causes to child marriage even now. These are the different uh, problems regarding different scenarios. Okay, um, you should make the short notes regarding this class and send it by after 2 days. Okay, after 2 days, before 10 o'clock. Okay, thank you all. uh, Hope you all well. Thank you very much.